Paul Pelosi, the only guy that knows how I felt, all right? Just me and you, Paul.
Chris Rock recently revealed one of his jokes that didn't make the final cut into his recent Netflix special, and it has blown people's minds on how brutal it was. It seems like Chris showed Will Smith some mercy even though he still went hard on him, and now everyone is wondering what more Chris had to say.
Please! But I'm not a victim, baby. You will never see me on Oprah or Gayle.
In early March, the comedian performed on Netflix's first ever live set, titling it Selective Outrage, which contained a number of notable moments and ended with Rock addressing Will Smith slapping him at the 2022 Oscars. However, Rock has revealed that there were a few jokes that didn't make it, and in particular, one savage remark seemingly comparing his onstage assault to the brutal attack of former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband in October 2022. This joke was met with different reactions from the audience, with some praising him for turning a moment like that into a joke, while others criticized him for being insensitive.
Before I start, Paul Pelosi, the only guy that knows how I felt, all right? Just me and you, Paul.
This happened while on stage at the 24th Mark Twain Prize for American Humor last week, celebrating this year's honoree Adam Sandler. And that's when Rock told the audience he would be sharing a few quips that were left out of his Netflix special. Paul Pelosi is the only guy who knows how I felt. Just me and you, Paul. For those who don't know, Rock's comments were in reference to the horrific incident in which Pelosi was bludgeoned with a hammer in his home, and the police had said that the attacker had wanted to kidnap Nancy and ended up hurting him in the process. Pelosi, who is now 82, suffered a skull fracture for which he underwent surgery, but luckily as of now he is said to be recovering and doing okay. But it will take a little while for him to be back to normal, Nancy Pelosi has said in a January interview with CNN on Who's Talking to Chris Wallace. It was really insensitive even for a comedian like Chris, but who knows, Pelosi himself might have thought the joke funny wherever he is recuperating from. It took Chris an entire year to respond back to Will, who slapped him, and it seems like now that his revenge train has started, it won't stop anytime soon. Chris Rock spoke at length for the first time about being slapped by Will Smith during the Oscars in his Netflix special Selective Outrage. Everybody knows, yes, it happened. I got slapped a year ago. I got smacked by this, Rock said, and people are like, did it hurt? It still hurts. I've got summertime ringing in my ears. He wasn't lying though, that slap felt like it was going to hurt for a while. Smith, who went on to win Best Actor that eventful night, walked on stage and smacked Rock in the face in the middle of the broadcast after he joked about Smith's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith, having a bald head, which unbeknown to millions including Chris himself, she shaves due to alopecia. Everyone thought the comedian would talk about what had happened at the Oscars when he performed at Boston, but he said he was still kind of processing what happened. But he also promised that at one point he would talk about it, claiming it would be serious and funny. Chris even went for a world tour, but it wasn't until Selective Outrage that he decided that the time had come to address his most humiliating moment. In the show, Rock made several comments about people seeking attention by classifying themselves as victims, claiming he was not a victim and he would never be seen crying about the issue, not even during an interview with Oprah. He then went on to say that Will Smith practices selective outrage and that everybody knows what happened had nothing to do with him but more to do with the wife he was so hell-bound to protect. Everybody really knows I had nothing to do with that shit. I didn't have any entanglements, he said, referring to Pinkett Smith's description of the affair she had with rapper August Alsina while married to Smith. It's not really a secret since she herself, Pinkett Smith, made the admission directly to Smith on an episode of her online show, Red Table Talk. His wife was effing his son's friend. Okay, I normally would not talk about this shit, but for some reason, they put that shit on the internet. I have no idea why two talented people would do something that low down. Chris then said that a lot of people had been cheated on, but none of them have ever been interviewed by the person that cheated on them on television, claiming Jada hurt him more than he hurt Rock. It was quite astonishing to watch Jada confess to Will that she had an affair, and she even made him admit that what she did was okay in front of hundreds behind their screens watching them. Everybody called that man a bitch. And who's he hit? Me? He added to laughter. He said he did not retaliate on the night because he got parents who raised him right and told him not to fight in front of white people. Well, he retaliated all right with his special, and he was going that hard on his jokes despite getting an apology from Smith. Smith himself talked about the slap, publicly apologizing to Rock the day after on Instagram, writing, "I was out of line and I was wrong. I am embarrassed and my actions were not indicative of the man I want to be." Will hasn't said anything about selective outrage yet, but a source close to him and his wife claimed that Jada Pinkett Smith was not involved in the ongoing tension between her husband and Chris Rock. The source said, "Jada has had no part in all of this other than being heckled. Chris is obsessed with her, and that's been going on for almost 30 years. Look where he chose to film his Netflix special, her hometown of Baltimore. Obsessed? During his stand-up special, Chris Rock had quipped, "Years ago, Jada Smith said I should quit the Oscars. I shouldn't host cause her man didn't get nominated for concussion. And then he gives me an effing concussion." Jada's source countered what Chris had said by claiming that Jada never asked Chris to not host the Oscars ever, and that she had publicly said in a Facebook post at the time Chris would be a great Oscars host and is perfect for the job. It was back in 2016. Jada showed her support for black actors as part of the #OscarsSoWhite movement because Will was shut out of the Best Actor race that year for his performance in Concussion. By her and her husband not showing up for the Oscars, I guess that's where Rock got his joke from despite having manipulated its integrity. In his special, Rock had also claimed that Jada deserved to be made fun of, saying that she was the one to start things and that he was simply reacting. He then went on calling Jada some names, and her source claims they were shocked at how many times Chris used the word bitch in referring to Jada. The Will Smith slap has been the joke of the year for several comedians, including Jimmy Kimmel, and he didn't miss the opportunity to joke about it while he hosted the 2023 Oscars. Jimmy opened the show with a witty monologue that included quips about Nicole Kidman's oft-parodied AMC commercial and Tom Cruise's Scientology connection. He also went heavy on the shocking slap moment from last year's Oscars, saying, "We know this is a special night for you. We want you to have fun. We want you to feel safe. And most importantly, we want me to feel safe. So we have strict policies in place. If anyone in this theater commits an act of violence at any point during the show, you will be awarded the Oscar for Best Actor and permitted to give a 19-minute-long speech." Continuing, Kimmel took a moment to jokingly call out those who were present last year when the slap went down, and then added that for those who get mad at a joke and decide you want to get jiggy with it, it's not going to be easy this go round. Later in the night, when introducing presenters for Best Documentary Feature, Kimmel deadpanned, "Hopefully it goes off this time without a hitch, or at least without Hitch, a nod to Smith's 2005 rom-com. Please put your hands together and then keep them to yourself." And at the close of the show, Kimmel threw in one last jab, joking, "Great work, Crisis team," before wrapping up the broadcast and walking off stage, where he updated a sign that read number of Oscars telecasts without incident to read one. He had fun bringing up the slap the entire time he was hosting, and to most his jokes were pretty funny. At some point, Chris and Will have to meet, talk, and bury their hatchet, but as of now, both have claimed they tried to reach out to each other to no avail. A fan on Twitter said, "The way Twitter went up for Will Smith was crazy. Every celebrity was dragged, exposed, friendships were ended. Chris Rock got exposed for making jokes about Jada since the 90s and letting Louis C.K. say, 'Man, what did he do to have that much power over the world?' Another said, 'Just watch the Netflix special and Chris Rock totally was right holding his tongue, and how does he let rip? Comedy, and what he said was right bang on. So Will Smith can't handle words well. I would have suggested Rock went more ape on his arse.' Anyways, let's not forget that this video is based on theories and my opinions and should not be considered facts. That's it for this video, guys.